Today I wanted to introduce you to a fantastic reptile keeper. You may have heard of him on Instagram. He is Righteous Reptiles, and I'm referring to Bryce Broom. He is a South African snake keeper. He keeps lots of venomous snakes just like I do for conservation purposes, and he also hosts the Animals Everywhere podcast. And I'm telling you about him today because recently I had the honor of being on the podcast. He is fairly new to the network. He's part of the Animals at Home network, and he has just started hosting the Animals Everywhere podcast. I believe I'm the 8th episode. But I wanted to introduce you to him here, show you a little taste of that podcast. That way you can hopefully go check out the full thing on his channel and check out the greater podcast network, because both the Animals Everywhere podcast and the Animals at Home podcast are my two favorite animal related podcasts to listen to. I regularly learn stuff from them all the time. So go check that out. And with that, I don't really have anything else to tell you. So just, again, let me know what you want to see for that Halloween video. If you had to choose between the two, I'm really going to try to get them both out. But life is busy as an animal keeper, so bear with me. And thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this excerpt of the interview. The whole conversation was about an hour long, and I had a lot of fun talking with him. And hopefully you guys will have fun listening to it and might learn some new keeping techniques from it. And so with that, thanks. Bye. Oh yeah, and make sure you check out Bryce's channel. I've put links to both his YouTube channel, his podcast channel, and a link to the website for the podcast network. But you can find the Animals at Home network and the Animals Everywhere podcast on a lot of streaming services. I just listen to it on Spotify, but there are links down below where you can check it out. And I really want you guys to do it because he is doing some amazing work over there. And with that, we'll get into the excerpt of the interview I wanted to show you. Thanks.
So, are you ready to get into this episode?
Yeah, let's do it.
You're listening to Animals Everywhere, a podcast that aims to inspire each and every one of you to make an impact and be the change, learn more about our natural world, explore the lives of those wild and wonderful. My name is Bryce Broom, and I'm best known for my infatuation with wildlife and to live a wild life. Cool. So, Joe, thank you so much for joining me on my first online podcast ever. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on. This is new and exciting for me, and I enjoy your podcast. So I'm looking forward to it. I've been looking forward to it.
Thank you. I actually had you in mind for one of my first guests ever, because I've seen your stuff and I was like, wow, this guy's got to come on the podcast. There's so much amazing info that he has. So thank you for coming. I know we've got a bit of a time difference, but we made it work.
Yeah. Good morning to you. It's evening here. Thank you for taking the bullet and being the one to wake up early for this.
No issues. It's totally worth it. And anyway, I am an early morning person. So let's jump straight into it. Out of all the animals in the world, why did you choose to geek over reptiles?
I don't know. I get asked that a lot, and it's something that I've thought about a lot. I don't know if it was just, I grew up in Arizona, and we have tons and tons of reptiles. We've got over 13 species of rattlesnake just in my state, and almost 40 species of non-venomous snake. Crazy. So it was very accessible to me. I had reptiles out in my backyard I could see and observe and interact with. So that was, I think, a big part of it. My brother and I used to spend all our Saturday mornings playing with lizards we'd find out in the desert. So I think that was a big part of the kind of spark behind my interest in reptiles.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things. When you just have a natural passion for these animals, you can't really pinpoint where it started exactly. It just was always there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good way of putting it.
And as for now, you've probably been doing this for a couple of years. How has your passion evolved with these animals?
I think over time, the biggest kind of shift or change, if there's been a change in how I appreciate reptiles, is I've learned to appreciate just kind of watching them and letting them do their own thing and observing them and appreciating them that way. Whereas, like I kind of mentioned, starting off, it was just my brother and I running around in the desert trying to catch lizards. And it was very much about being hands-on and catching them and getting to interact with them, where now I much prefer to just kind of watch what they like to do and how they live and see what I can learn from just watching them.
Yeah, that's super interesting. It's a similar issue. Well, not an issue, but same thing with me. Now, it's more like enjoyable to just watch these animals and how they behave than touch it. How does it feel? Because we've touched so many animals, we know what they feel like. We just want to see their behavior and how they react to different environments that we like give them in enclosures or out in the wild. So you've got an epic name for all your social media accounts. It's Herpin Hippie. So where did this come from?
So this is a case of be careful of anything that you put online. So originally the name Herpin Hippie was kind of a doodle in a class. I was in a psychology class at college, and I was just kind of doing doodles in my notebook. And one of the things I was working on at the time was I had just learned how to make snake hooks, and was also trying to figure out how I was going to pay for my books for that semester of college. And I had started making snake hooks and was selling some on the side, and was kind of thinking, well, if I were to scale this up and make an online shop or something, what's a good name? And originally I was just thinking like Herpin Hippie Hooks. It has the alliteration, the three H's. And over time I stopped making hooks and got onto TikTok, not thinking much would come of it. And none of my other accounts were Herpin Hippie. I've had other YouTube channels in the past. I've had other Instagram accounts. But then TikTok went really well, and pretty soon that was my biggest following. And so it just kind of made sense to change everything else to it. But it was never the plan that that was the name that was going to get big.
That's crazy. It's a really cool and original name. It just like rolls off your tongue nice and easily. So when did you actually start TikTok then?
I got started. I've been on for almost 2 years. I think it was January of February of 2019. So I'm coming
Okay.
up on 2 years.
Wow. And already you've gained quite a large following on TikTok. It's crazy.
It really is. I wasn't expecting it. I got on because our sanctuary's official page had started an account, and it was going well, and figured, oh well, I'll put out some information there too, and see if a reptile community starts to form on TikTok. And sure enough, here we are 2 years later, and it's gone better than I ever thought it was going to.
That's so crazy. What are you at now? 1 point what million followers?
So TikTok's kind of weird. I might be giving away a secret here, but it says, according to TikTok, I'm at 1.2 million.
Okay.
And I think if I actually click on it, it shows that I'm not quite to 1.1 million yet. So I don't know if that's all TikTok accounts or if mine just is a little more inflated than it is, but I'm sitting a little over a million right now, which doesn't sound real to say it.
That's mind blowing. It's a huge community you are affecting there because, like, your videos aren't just sensationalism, it's a lot of great information too.
Well, that means a lot, and that's something I always try to keep in mind and try to keep myself in check. I want people to see what I'm doing, but I don't want it to come at the cost of sensationalizing the animals or scaring people. I want people to appreciate reptiles for what they are and understand how much misinformation is out there.
I totally get it, and you're actually doing like a really good job at it. So you mentioned Phoenix Herp Society there. What is Phoenix Herp Society, and how long have you been working there?
So the Phoenix Herpetological Society, and actually we've started trying to rebrand about 2 years ago, but it's been a long process. But the society got started about 20 years ago. I've only been there for around 5 years, and originally this place was just meant to be a home for green iguanas, and
Oh
it
wow.
just didn't stay that way. That was the big issue in Phoenix at the time, were people buying these cute little 10-inch lizards at pet shops, and then they get mean and they tail whip and they bite when they're not tail whipping, and people were just letting them go in the desert and they were dying, and there was a big problem. So the sanctuary set out about 20 years ago just to be a home for these animals, and pretty soon started taking in alligators and crocodiles and venomous snakes and all the other pet trade animals. And I came along about 2015. The sanctuary got started in right around 2001. And I started with them just as a part of an internship program. I was getting ready to transfer from community college and head into ASU, transfer to university. And I thought it would be a fun way to make my transfer applications look a little bit better. And I just fell in love with the sanctuary and the animals and haven't been able to leave. So now I've been there almost 5 years, or a little over 5 years, and it's really just all grown out of that.
So are you full time there?
I am. I'm one of the really, really lucky ones. There's only 5 of us that are there full time, and I pinch myself every day that I get to be one of them.
Wow, that's crazy. So what do you actually do, like as your part of work at Phoenix Herp?
I take care of, well, there's only 5 of us, so we all wear a lot of hats.
I can imagine.
But my title is the Venom Curator, so I take care of all of the venomous snakes there, and that's my main job. But today I spent a lot of time with just medical animals at the sanctuary and feeding out our. We've got about 400 sulcata tortoises there, and so that
Wow.
takes about half a day just to feed all of them. So we do a lot of everything, but specifically I work with the venomous.
Okay. So 400 sulcatas, were those all like pets that needed to be rehomed or what?
Yeah, every last one of them, pets and runaways and lost and founds. I don't know if you guys run into this in South Africa, but they're such a popular pet in Phoenix because our climate's pretty good for them that at least once a week we get a runaway tortoise. We just got one dropped off by our Humane Society today. So they come and come, and we try to adopt them out as fast as we can, but
Wow.
it's not quite fast enough to keep up with them.
Well, 400 is a lot of tortoises and they can eat quite a fair amount of greenery.
Yeah. We pick up food from 4 different grocery stores, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, to keep them fed. And we get donations here and there from individuals who grow food or just buy extra for us because they eat us out of house and home every month.
I can imagine that. That's a lot of tortoises for sure. So, how long have you been working with venomous snakes?
I started working with Venomous about 2016, so about 4 years now.
Okay. And was that like prior to that you had no experience before with venomous?
Oh, well, not quite. Growing up in Phoenix, we have rattlesnakes everywhere and scorpions everywhere, and not really reptiles, but they're venomous too.
Yes.
And so, being a dumb kid, I definitely played with scorpions, talking about that impulse that kids have to touch everything again. I played with scorpions and rattlesnakes, and preferably the non-venomous snakes. But if a rattlesnake was in the backyard, I would always jump at the chance to catch it and take it out to the desert. So I had a little bit of experience here and there, but first time actually keeping and caring for venomous was about 2016 with the sanctuary. I ended up taking in my first just regular Western Diamondback baby rattlesnake, and it all kind of spiraled out of that.
And now you work with quite a few different species that have that aren't only from Arizona, so antivenom isn't that easy to come by.
No, that is a really good thing to bring up because anybody who's interested in keeping venomous, it's kind of something that gets overlooked. All right, and I'm going to cut the video right there. It does go on much longer. And if you like that, please do check out and subscribe to the Animals Everywhere YouTube channel. Listen to the podcast. If you enjoyed that little excerpt, I'm sure you will enjoy the whole thing. And also, just one more reminder, I do have 2 videos coming your way about anacondas and boom slangs. So if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. And if you want to be sure not to miss either of those videos, make sure that you've also hit the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you take care of yourself this week. But most of all, keep herping. Keep herping or herp on. Both of them sound weird out of context. I don't know, let me know in the comments. All right, bye guys.